Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in the boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Since the beginning of the month, we've been parked on chapter 6 of the Gospel of Mark. And last week we heard Jesus essentially give us a mission guide for discipleship. And the key is to make yourself small. You take nothing but your sandals. Now consider a moment that traveling at that time, even walking to the next village, would be dangerous. There were no police patrols. And yet, in his instructions, we are to make ourselves intentionally vulnerable on purpose, which would not be difficult, because we are vulnerable. It's simply an acknowledgement of our vulnerability. Last Sunday, Father Abbot preached about that vulnerability, the possibility of rejection in our discipleship last week. So proclaiming Jesus Christ as my personal Savior does not immunize one from being vulnerable. Baptism isn't the entry into the golden road of glory. That comes with the last sacrament. Like the disciples, Jesus puts us on the pilgrimage of life, and it can be a long, hard walk. Which brings us to today's gospel. The disciples return. They're all pumped up and successful. And Jesus says, "Okay, congratulations, now stop." Stop. He stops them. And he introduces us to another aspect of discipleship. Sacred rest. Holy rest. Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. Sacred rest is not optional. He is not inviting us to it. He is commanding us to it. It is not to be dispensed when things get busy. It may need to be modified, but never completely set aside, or we will dry up like a sponge that has been wrung out. And God does not want that for you. In the healthcare business, we call that compassion burnout. It is when you have given all, and with nothing left to give, you are numb. A nurse can be in front of a suffering patient and family and feel no empathic emotions, but only their own tiredness. It's shocking for nurses and anybody in the helping profession to experience that. And it requires immediate rest, emotional and spiritual support, and much love to heal that. So to prevent this, Jesus commands us to come away with him for a while. But here's the problem. The ministry, the needs of the people, the needs of your loved ones, the ones you serve, continue on. So what do we do about it? Now, in Mark, Jesus and the disciples encounter people in need. They do. But Mark does not write that it is the disciples tending to them. Christ himself tends to their needs. The evangelist never implied the disciples did anything but obey his command to rest. because not everything is up to you. Thank God. There are things for God to do. Letting go and trusting that is our spiritual task, and for many of us, a challenge. Workaholism is infectious in this society. It needs to be cured by rest, spiritual well-being, and emotional support. In the words of our Holy Father, Pope Francis, in today's Angelus, he said, "Only if we learn how to rest can we even have compassion. The rest comes first." He writes, "Indeed, it is only possible to have a compassionate gaze which knows how to respond to the needs of others if our heart is not consumed by the anxiety of doing, if we know how to stop and how to receive the grace of God in the silence of adoration. And therefore, dear brothers and sisters, we can ask ourselves, am I able to stop during my days? Am I capable of taking a moment to be with myself and with the Lord? Or am I always in a hurry, a constant hurry to do things? Can we find some kind of inner desert amidst the noise and activities of each day? Tend the garden of your soul, water it, show it beautiful things, rest it, and refresh it.